First thing you got on your video game
is a trailer.
Get
your headphones on. Yeah.
Is that the Borderlands?
Yep. So I'm a few hours in. I haven't finished the main story quests or even all the side quests, but so far, it's Gearbox doing what they do with their downloadable content, same stuff they did with Borderlands 2. Where when I downloaded it, I didn't expect it to be a 12 gig fucking download.
It's crazy and it's free.
Well, if you bought, this isn't free. This is the first paid DLC.
Bought. It's free for
it's free for us. Well, we paid for it in advance.
Well, it's not free.
That comes with the pass. Or?
It feels
the
free.
Pass.
It feels
and
free.
and standalone, it's $15. So it's not like. So
do you get why I say that? Though?
Yeah.
Maybe it's my own weird perspective, but for me, if I bought something months ago and then I don't get it till later, I like the money's been out of my pocket forever.
It's like it's the way I used to trick myself during the PS3 360 era when game prices went up to $60.
Yeah.
When if I would pre-order them, I would put $10 down. That way, when I came and got it, I would like, oh, it's $49.99, just like the last generation.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I don't do that anymore. I buy games digitally now. I'm that guy. Want to go back and I want to find the episode where you and I talk about the digital future and how much we fucking hate it. And now here I am. I don't buy anything physical anymore unless it's a smoking fucking deal. When it was the opposite way before, where I wouldn't buy anything digitally unless it was a smoking fucking deal.
Because the only thing that was kind of keeping my foot in the physical pool was just the idea of being able to trade it and save some money.
Yeah.
But now, I mean,
you wait 2 months and you get a game for $30. What's the point?
There's that. There's that too. Yeah, I don't know.
Like Outer Worlds, I just bought off of Amazon because it was $35, and I was like, well, that's a fucking steal of a deal. It's physical, but oh well.
And you started playing Control.
Yes, I rented that from GameFly. Started playing Control.
How is that?
That is.
Why was that game so under the radar though? Like I remember that came out.
It didn't even make MPDs, dude. Like it's fucking. It is amazing. It is fucking amazing. I have not been legit scared playing a video game since playing Silent Hill 2 on PS2 fucking 20 years ago.
You know who loved that game? And if I remember right, like I think it's at least at the time it was currently his game of the year. Your boy, Andy Cortez.
Really?
That's how I found out about that game. I'm like, what the fuck is he
Spicer.
playing? What's he playing?
Christian Spicer. It's his game of the year too so far.
Yeah.
I
mean, I'd never even heard of it.
Yeah.
I honestly had it until he was playing. I'm like, what the fuck is Control? And why is no one talking about this game?
It's so fucking good, man. Like.
So what? Like, so I had it on in the background most of the time. So like, what is it? Is it a third person action adventure?
Third person character action game. It's got some shooting. It's got some cool fucking telepathy shit.
Puzzles?
Puzzles, combat puzzles using your fucking cool telepathy shit. And yes, there's also actual just straight up like lever flipping puzzles to get to the next sequence. Is
this like Uncharted but not Uncharted?
No, because it is scary. It is legit scary.
So is this scary Uncharted?
It's
I'm just strictly from a gameplay perspective.
No,
not
because the controls aren't that there's no platforming really. Like it's more of like Resident Evil Silent Hill-ish, but with better character movement and controls than those old games. But yeah, I have not been.
Or is it more like, what's that game? Fuck, why am I forgetting? What's it called?
Did you play The Evil Within at all? The Shinji Mikami game? No, it's basically like that. It's more of that.
Well, now I'm blanking. What's the game that you like a lot that I have? I feel like it's one word. I want to say it starts with an I. I keep wanting to say Insomnia, but it's not that. And the guy has all these powers.
Infamous?
Infamous. Is it more like that?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Never mind.
It's hard to classify this game, dude.
Mario Brothers.
Yes.
I'm just listing off everything. Okay.
It's a third-person character action game. There's some shooting. There's a lot of physics stuff. The story seems really interesting so far. I'm only about a few hours in, probably 3 or 4 hours. But I really, really like it. Like right out of the gate, it blew my mind. And I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
I had heard, Christian Spicer and I think Colin had even talked about how he liked it. Like it wasn't like a great game to him, but he liked it. And there's other people who have been talking about how like it's low-key game of the year that nobody's giving any credit to. And so I'd heard a lot of people singing its praises, and I was like, okay, arms folded, impressed me. And then like within like the first 30 seconds, I was like, oh shit, that's what this is?
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. Because like I haven't had a Silent Hill game that I've liked in almost 20 years. I haven't had Resident Evil 7 was very, very, very good, but it wasn't a game like this with tension and just creepy iconography. Yes, there's a lot of really gross looking stuff in Resident Evil 7.
Was that this year, by the way?
What, Resident Evil 7?
Yeah.
No, that was 2 years ago.
I was going to say, fuck. Because I know
that
that's
was
another game I
2017.
played. Okay.
Resident Evil Remake was this year. Resident Evil 2 Remake was this year.
What game are you talking about?
Control.
Oh.
We've moved on. Borderlands is short and sweet. It's amazing. It is what it is. You should be playing it if you're not.
That's totally unnecessary.
I know, right? Go back to the bathroom break. But yeah, Control, man. It's like, remember I said earlier this year, unless something that's completely flying under my radar hits me and hits me hard, Borderlands will probably be my game of the year. If this game sticks it, man, this is definitely going to be on that list. I feel that way about a couple of games that I just haven't had a lot of time with that I had to rent. So like they're not gonna like. It would be unfair for me to put Death Stranding on a top 5 list
Astral Chain
when I've only played 6 hours. Astral Chain is completely. That's beatable before we do our lists. But yeah, that got completely murdered by Borderlands coming out.
Yeah, I just meant that was another game that you were saying if this wasn't a Borderlands year, then that could be definitely.
That game is very, very good. I don't want to say in a Nintendo way because that sounds like very demeaning.
Yeah.
But it is old style design of a video game. It is not a modern styled game, but that usually that hurts games. Like, okay, you're gonna walk down this very narrow area and find all the stuff you need, and then you're gonna have a battle arena. Then you're gonna go back to your home base and you're gonna talk to people. Then you're gonna walk down this very defined corridor-like area. Then you're gonna have a battle arena. Then you're gonna go back to your home base. Like, it's a very antiquated design philosophy, but it's done so well that it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
There's very few games that can do that.
You brought up Nintendo. This is totally off topic, but because I've been sleeping through, I haven't been awake during Games Daily and all this other stuff. But somehow I became aware of when Gary Whitta was hosting.
Yes.
And him and Greg Miller started talking about Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yes. Yep.
That conversation was cracking. Like, I got nothing to say about the conversation other than I fucking love. I just love Gary Whitta.
Guess what? Gary Whitta is right.
Yeah.
That should have been not fucking Family Game of the Year. That game should have been nominated for Game of the fucking Year.
They were totally missing each other's point.
It should have been nominated in art direction. It should have been nominated in sound. It should have been nominated in action adventure game. Like, it should have been nominated in so many fucking categories, but it wasn't because. We're going to talk about Game Awards here in a second, and so we can just keep transitioning. But yeah, Gary Whitta is completely fucking right.
But it was also just hilarious because I love Gary Whitta getting all fucking fired up.
Hell yeah, me too.
It's the best.
Because he's 100% right. And
I wish he was there more than
in another year, that would be my Game of the Year. Luigi's Mansion is fucking outstanding.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard for me to not put that in my top 5. That's why I was telling you guys, I'm making a top 10, and everything is going to be 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. Like, this is that hard of a year for me to make decisions like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Game Awards, instead of showing some kind of love to Luigi's Mansion that really fucking deserved it and needed it,
totally does.
All they did was like, well, we're just going to be fucking snooty, the equivalent to the fucking pretentious film student for video games, and we're just gonna give all our awards to this game that nobody fucking played called Disco Elysium. And I'm not saying that's a bad game or not a good game. Fucking exactly, dude.
Okay.
It's a old school style RPG-ish game that has a very similar look to Outer Worlds, but Outer Worlds is a first-person fucking shooter game.
Yeah.
Disco Elysium is not. Disco Elysium is fucking cut panels and top down, and it's a strategy RPG, and it seems very good at what it does. But if you're gonna award a throwback game like that for being different and being an independent game, like, It literally won like 8 fucking awards.
I've legit never heard of
And
it.
doesn't deserve any of them because there's better games in every category it won awards for. Again, I have not played Disco Elysium, but I watched the quick look of it. I've watched extended play sessions of it, and like they always talk about games, there's nothing new. It's just more of that thing. This is just more of the thing that people like. You know, in a same industry that fucking harped all over Uncharted 4 for just being more of a thing I like and didn't give it any awards. And,
Yeah.
you know, Batman Arkham Knight was just more of fucking Batman. It doesn't need any awards. It's just more of that. To see a company like Obsidian do the Outer Worlds and take a formula that they did with Fallout New Vegas and what Bethesda continues to try to do with Fallout and condense it and streamline it and make it better, got no play whatsoever. Astral Chain, who takes an old formula and an old design philosophy and seamlessly puts that shit together, gets no love from anybody because, it's just another good Platinum game. Yeah, it's another really good fucking Platinum game. Luigi's Mansion, it's too easy. It's too kiddie. No, it's not. It's a fun puzzle game. Like, the only boss I've had trouble with is one that is, the fight is in water, and it's a rough fight. It's rough. But it's not broken, and it's not mechanically busted or anything like that. It's just, it's difficult because you're not used to it.
Yeah.
And so this Luigi's Mansion continuously rolls out different scenarios to where you have all the tools in your bag to kill it.
Oh, you haven't
But
beat
it's
that
hard.
game yet, right?
No, I've got 3 floors left.
Okay.
But yeah, man, like, it really was just like, and I understand that everybody got all over Jeff Keighley because Death Stranding got nominated for a lot of awards, as it should have been, because it looks fantastic, it sounds fantastic, the direction is fantastic, it plays, whether you like that style of game or not, you cannot deny how tight those controls are, how good it feels.
Have you purchased it?
No, I haven't.
That's why you haven't been playing.
I think I might be getting it for Christmas too.
Okay, yeah.
And if I don't, I'll be buying it for myself for Christmas.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those things where like that got a lot of nominations. I think it won like 1 or 2 things, which it should have won more, if I'm honest. And I've only played 6 hours of it, but in the categories like sound and visuals and direction and, you know, performances, it should have won awards. But everybody got all over Jeff Keighley because, he's friends with Kojima. But, like, nobody even looked into what the process is. The process is 130 different outlets all nominate these games. So Death Stranding got in based on the strength of the game that these outlets felt like this is a really good fucking game. And I feel like for them, they were like, well, we'll put Death Stranding in here, and that's kind of the obvious thing. We got to put Disco Elysium in there because nobody's fucking played this game, and we want to raise... Every year at the Game Awards, there's always... When it's the journalists that are nominating, there's always a game like, this doesn't fucking belong, but I see why they're doing it. They're trying to get more awareness for this game, so it sells more copies, and I'm sure it's not a bad game. I'm sure it's a great strategy RPG, but it just, like, fucking Fire Emblem came out this year, and nobody's talking about Fire Emblem because, it's just more of that thing.
Yeah, it's annoying.
It's fucking... Pokemon is not being talked about at all because it's just more of that thing. People are talking about the game, but they're not, like...
I don't know, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, and it's just like, what do you mean it's just more of the thing I like? It's just more of the thing you like. So how is it? And it's the first time
it's a better version of the thing that I like.
Yeah. So this is the first, like, RPG my son has played, and he fucking took it down the other night and finally finished it, and he beat the last
I saw...
character.
Yeah, I was out when I saw that or whatever, but I mean, good for him, man. That's great. Is that like the first game he's beaten? Well, not like game like that.
Big game. Yeah.
Because I know he's beaten like
Donut County and fucking
multiple times.
In the first day he
like
had
Donut
it.
County or Country?
County.
Okay.
So like, I don't know. I think the Game Awards are cool. I like Jeff Keighley a lot. I like what he is trying to do with video games, but I really do feel like the shitty side of video games journalism has way too much say on what is on his show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I fucking... you call me fucking baffled that Sekiro got Game of the Year. I think that's awesome. That's fucking rad as hell that game got Game of the Year, but like...
It's fucking
Call me. I would have never have called that. I would have never have called that.
I'm glad I got it. It's fucking good. It's frustrating, but it's good.
But yeah, I think fucking okay. I've been playing other shit too. By the way, speaking of like Souls style games, I finally started Darksiders 3.
Okay.
Holy shit, that game is awesome.
Yeah, you've never played it?
No, I never played 3. Oh. It came out late November, so I didn't get a chance to get to it before Game of the Year last year. And then I bought it for like $20 off of Amazon. And then the next week they're like, "Oh, this is gonna be the free PlayStation Plus game." But then Borderlands was out and all these other games were out, and I was like, "Oh, I just haven't had a chance to play it." So I started it the other night because I had some downtime between farming weapons in Borderlands, and I was like, "Oh, let me try this out," and I really like that also.
Did you talk about on the show? I mean, you don't have to right now, but did you talk about on the show beating Zelda? What is it?
Yeah.
My brain doesn't work. Link's Awakening?
Link's Awakening. I did.
Okay.
And what I'll say it to you because you probably didn't see, and I don't think I said this to you, but like, if I would have played this game in 1995 or whatever when it came out, it would have blown my fucking mind.
Okay.
I'd have been like, how the fuck is this a thing? It's so fun. It's so good. I died a bunch, so I didn't get like the super special ending or whatever, which is just like similar to the Breath of the Wild special ending. It's like a 1 frame extra or some shit.
Right.
But yeah, I had a great time with that game, and I'm glad I rented it, and I'm glad I didn't buy it because I fucking went through that in like 3 sittings, which is not a bad thing because I was compelled to continue playing it.
Yeah.
But I'll never go back and play it again unless it's like 4 or 5 years from now, and I need a Legend of Zelda itch scratched.
Have you went back to Link to the Past?
Not recently. I think I'm on the 3rd dungeon.
You're probably where you were before I even left.
I think I've gone a little bit farther. I think I finished the 3rd dungeon. I think so. I'm not sure what things I have. It's been a while. But yeah, that game's really good too, man. Like going between Link's Awakening and Link to the Past was like, oh yeah, this is the same fucking thing.
Yeah, it's pretty seamless.
But yeah, I have my issues with Link's Awakening. I don't think it'll make my top 10. But it was very, very good. But there's just been so many strong games that are fucking Mike games that have come out this year. And some that I didn't even know were Mike games that I started. I was like, holy shit, this is a fucking Mike game. Bloodstained I bought finally because it was cheap. And so hopefully I'll be able to crank through some more of that before we make our lists, because if that game continues on the path it was for the 4 hours or so I played of it when I rented it, it's wow, that's a fucking awesome game because I love Symphony of the Night. I don't think you've ever played Symphony of the Night, right?
No.
It's more of that, and it's Symphony of the Night was one of the first games that I played that tricked me, that fucking bamboozled me, where I was like, oh shit, this is an RPG?
That's funny.
Because I was always that kid, like, oh, fuck RPGs, that shit's for nerds, and fuck that, and blah, blah, blah. But, growing up, I love Dracula, I love vampires, I love the whole thing. And then I started playing Symphony of the Night, and I don't know, maybe like 8 or 10 hours into the game, I realized I was in fucking inventory menus and moving weapons around and potions and hit points, and like, oh shit, this is a fucking RPG. You fucking tricked me. But yeah, and Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is one of those games that's just like that. It's really, really good.
Cheese is in the chat talking shit. Sorry, real quick.
What's he saying?
In response to me asking if you talked about Link's Awakening on the show, he said, yes, you did, Bryce. Maybe you should watch the recaps. Yeah, fuck that guy. He should. What a dickhead. And then Cheesy also said, want to go on record for a year now you guys don't play with me. Rocket League. I'll play with... I don't even want to say it. I'll play with you.
Cheesy, if you're not busy tomorrow, I'll play some matches with you.
I'm busy tomorrow.
Yeah, but I'll play with him.
I know, but we should all play.
What are you doing tomorrow?
And we're doing Christmas with my family tomorrow.
Okay. All right. So now that you mentioned Cheesy, for our movies list, they're pretty much they're easy to do. Like for rules wise, like we're like, okay, we count Netflix movies.
If it's a movie,
right?
It's a movie.
I think we're getting to a point where we're gonna have to start talking about this too, also, because then they have, entire seasons of shows that we sit down and watch in one sitting and like a fucking movie, even though it's 6 hours.
It's not a movie.
It's not a movie.
But I mean, Sex Education is better than almost every fucking movie I've seen this year.
But it's a show.
I know.
That's when you could talk about like other entertainment that you enjoyed.
I know that'll be like the honorable mention stuff. I know. But okay, video games, game of the year stuff. We made a few exceptions last year because there was some new stuff that I didn't play before on other platforms, but I played it. I played Paladins when I got to Switch.
And I only play old games.
Rick only plays old games.
Try to
apparently.
catch up. Well, I played a lot of current games this year.
We said last year, like, without being fucking ridiculous, if this year was your first experience with the game, we'll count it, is kind of what we said last year. Mm-hmm. But there's no, like, hard cutoff. But, like, I can't say Link to the Past because it's a fucking 30-year-old game.
Yeah, like I don't think that's something that should be like on your list, but that should be something like, hey, here's something that I want to mention because I played it this year and it was really fucking cool. And if I played it the first year it came out,
I have a small list of like 4 or 5 things right now that are, here's some old ass shit that I never played before that I'm playing now that I really dig. But like, so with Rick,
I've been playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
I'll give him Shadow. But he also played Tomb Raider and Rise of the Tomb Raider this year.
Those don't count.
I'm not giving him those.
But they count for the decade.
Yes, they do count for the fucking decade.
So it's almost see, I almost feel like this year is good because you could almost take all these games that are old and be like, well, that'll go on my decade list then.
Yeah.
Like this is almost like an easy year for us.
Kind of.
Cheesy is, I think, kind of indirectly asking. He's using Resident Evil 2 as an example. I don't know where I stand on that.
Part of me wants to say, fuck your remasters. They don't go on your Game of the Year lists.
I would say that.
I feel like there's enough awesome games that came out this year where I don't even understand why Resident Evil 2 would even sniff the list.
Because people are talking about how great it is, and because they changed the camera, it's not Resident Evil 2 anymore. It should not have been called Resident Evil 2.
It's 2.0.
It should have been called, yeah, for real. It should have been called Resident Evil : something.
The colon.
Yeah. Resident Evil.
Just cracking himself up right now.
Resident Evil Reborn. Something like that.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'd let it have a sniff of a list like that. But if sniff of a colon. Sniff of a colon. If you.
Where did we start?
I don't think I would say, fuck you, you can't have that on the list if one of these guys had it on their list. But it's not something I would consider myself.
Because then that also brings Link's Awakening into the discussion. But is that different because that's like a completely different art style?
No, so Resident Evil 2, I mean, it is not Resident Evil 2 anymore. Like, the broad brushstrokes, it's Resident Evil 2. I feel like Link's Awakening is still Link's Awakening, just prettier and easier to play because you have more buttons on your controller. But I will say, even with the more buttons on my controller, I still found myself doing that thing you would have had to do in 1995. And menu, I need to switch this out to my X and this out to my Y.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, menu, switch this out, switch this out. I really was kind of hoping I could map everything, you know?
This is how I think you solve it. And I think we probably came to this conclusion before, too. Because, like, there's too many things where it's like, oh, fuck, what do you do? I think at the end of the day, you have your personal list of all the games that you fucking played in that year. Yep. And then when it comes down to, okay, now, then you also have a list which should be easy because then you just knock out the games that are from old stuff.
Yeah.
Then you also have a list that's just from that year.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. Yeah. It's like, personally, this is my list of the year, list for the year of everything that I played, and this is how I'd rank it. But if I had to stick to just 2019, this is my list.
Like I mentioned last year, if I was being honest with my list last year, Burnout Paradise Remastered would have been number 1. Because I put another fucking 100 or so hours into that game again. Mm-hmm. So,
and I'd say on a personal list, if you want to fit that in there somewhere, then go for it. But you know what I mean? That's just
okay, so here's the thing.
That's what I think.
Now we're going to get to the decades. Okay, the game of the decade thing. January 1st, 2010 to December 1st, 2019. That's the game.
December 1st?
December 31st.
Okay, yeah.
So, but Now, here's where I'm going to try and cheat so Borderlands can be number one again. I mean, not Borderlands. Burnout Paradise. The remaster came out in 2018. But the original game came out in 2008. I'm not going to do that to you. So,
They
but
don't count.
that's the thing. So do we count remasters on the decade list? Because, to be honest...
It came out in that decade, so yeah, I'd say you could.
Okay.
I'd say you could.
But I'm going to be... Don't worry, Rick. I'm not going to make Borderlands... I mean, Borderlands will probably be fucking game of the decade. Not one. Probably two.
But see, right. But see, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, to me, if it came out in that decade, which
whether the remaster or not,
what the remaster did, I feel like it should count. But my counter argument to that would be like,
that's the easy way.
But is it real? No. My counter argument would just be like, but is that really like? Is it really? Was the decade that sad? Like, and that's not knocking the game where that would still be your number one. Like, that's where I'd call a little bit of bullshit.
I hear you on that.
There's so many other games that came out.
But at the same time, I put over 100 hours into a Burnout again, dude.
Yeah,
Burnout. That's like that's because Lion King's gonna be my number one because.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, or it's like if I play Monkey Island.
I love the Lion King.
Right.
And it's pretty much a shot-for-shot remake of the cartoon. I'm not gonna put it on my list because it's a remake.
That's how I feel. I play Monkey Island a few times a year, and so if I'm gonna base it off playtime,
but if it released this year,
I'm saying it could be on your list, but I would have a hard time if you told me it's your number one.
Listen,
because then to me the decade's sad.
This is kind of a moot point because again, there's 10 games that I can't even say there's. No, maybe it's not. There's not. I don't think there's 10 games that I enjoyed from 2010 to 2019 more than I enjoyed Borderlands in 2008. Or I keep saying Borderlands. Burnout Paradise in 2008.
And that's fair.
And I really feel like, even though that remaster wasn't revolutionary, I think it was them just getting it off of dead platforms and getting it somewhere where everybody can play it. That way it'll be backwards compatible when we move forward into our next generation of consoles. And we can just pretend like that's where it came out. Mm-hmm. I really feel like that's what that was. But at the same time, like, as much as I'm loving Need for Speed Heat, as much as I really enjoy Gran Turismo Sport, Forza Horizon I played some on Xbox 360 in 2010 or 11 when that came out, when that franchise started. Like, as much as I enjoyed those games, we always say it, dude, nothing in that genre has even come fucking close to Burnout Paradise. Nothing.
Right. And that's fine, and that could still remain true. But like, so I'll talk about it with movies for a little bit. Like, as when Rick was going over the SAG nominees, I was like, fuck, I think I saw less movies this year than I saw last year. Mm-hmm. And if overall I could say to myself, man, I was really enjoying movies more in 2014 than I am now, I feel like that doesn't mean that something from 2014 should make my list. Like, it could still hold true. It could still hold true that you think that Burnout is better than anything you played this current decade, but that you could still believe that, but you still have to make a list from the decade. Yeah. And I get the whole remaster argument of it.
Like,
I just feel like, you know what I mean? Like,
I knew I'd play a lot of Burnout. I knew I was going to. I knew I'd platinum it again. But I didn't think it was gonna have the legs with me that it fucking had.
Mm-hmm. But it's going to, because that's a game that you and I hold near and dear. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like I said, again, that would take me all the way through to getting that platinum again.
Yeah.
But
like, I'll even talk about myself. If the whole series of Monkey Island got completely fucking remastered tomorrow for 2019, I know that it would be cheap for me to be like, oh, that's my game, because it's just like, it's just kind of, it's just like, it's not fair. Like, maybe I could say, look, I like this better than anything that came out in this last decade, but at the same time I might always say that because it's something that I just hold near and dear. You know what I mean? Like, there might come a time where, let me break it down like this. So let's say let's say at some point in the imminent future, some point in our lifetime, the Angels win the World Series. Okay. No matter what, for me, I feel like no matter what, nothing is going to top when they won it in 2002. Because I was there. For me.
Right.
That was special. But you know what I mean? If that makes sense?
Yeah, I hear you.
But like, I feel like it shouldn't bleed. I think you get what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, That might always be true. Maybe when you're 60, 70 years old, you'd be like, man, this game that came out this fucking year was the best fucking game I played this year, but it's still not better than Burnout Paradise in 2008. That's fine. That opinion can hold true, but it's just, you know what I mean? It's like it's like comparing like this year movies was not as good as last year's slate of movies, but here's my list. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, so then with games like Resident Evil 2 where they completely like I said, it shouldn't be called Resident Evil 2. It should be called something else. Where they kind of completely reinvented the game. Would that count for this decade then?
It came out this decade.
Yeah, but again, it's a remaster. It's a remaster or remake.
Same storyline,
but
everything.
Same story, yeah,
Yeah,
with some tweaks.
So I still feel like...
Because that's like what Let's Go and...
But I hear what people are saying about Resident Evil 2 and how it has definitely reinvigorated that franchise because it shows you can take those old games that were fun for what they were in their bubble then and move them forward to make them fun without qualifiers. Yeah. So I totally get what people are saying and why people are so hyped about Resident Evil 2, but I'm stuck in the same thing you are about but it's a remake.
Here's how I resolve that. Like, so in my head, I don't know if I'm going to get it out as well. So like for somebody like Rick, what's funny?
It's like we're trying to make rules and you're not even going to participate.
I'm the ref. For somebody like Rick, and I'll even say for somebody like me, who hasn't played as many games as you have, probably in this last decade, or I've started a lot and haven't completed. Okay, I think it could be fair for Resident Evil 2 to end up on the decade list because maybe they don't even have enough to fluff it out. But in your case, you've played so many fucking games.
You've
played so many games that I'd be like, look, if you want to put it at number 10 just because, hey, it's Old Faithful, then sure. But it almost feels like you're doing it. It's just like if someone asks you, it's like, hey, who's hotter, this fucking chick that's a fucking 10 on every scale or your wife? Every time your answer is gonna be your wife. You know what I mean? Because so it's kind of like Burnout Paradise. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Burnout Paradise is my wife. And Burnout Paradise is the hottest woman on the planet, no matter what situation it is.
So
I get you. I got you.
Like, I think Resident Evil
actually makes the most sense.
Right. Like, Resident Evil should count. Link's Awakening should count. It technically came out within the last decade.
But for me, for me, it would be taking the easy way out.
But yeah, like, it's just kind of like if you just...
Because I'm sitting here thinking, and it's like, fucking Red Dead, GTA 5, Borderlands 2, Saints Row the Third? Was that 2010 or 11?
Yeah, it's on mine.
Uncharted 3, Uncharted 4, Borderlands 3. Like, I'm already at 8 things. And
it would be a crime. If you want to put it on, like, if you want to put it on there, like, as 10, just because, but it's just like, you know what I mean?
I got you.
Like...
We'll do honorable mentions, and that's where I'll put it. I won't put it on
that's
my
where
actual
that's
list.
where it'd have to be. But here's the thing, though. Like, if Burnout legit knocks something out of the top 10 of the decade, put it on your list. I'm not going to say it doesn't count. It fucking came out. It came out.
Yeah, I know.
It came out.
But it's a little unfair. It is a little unfair.
I think we're making
I think it's unfair to the other games.
Yeah, I think we're making it more complicated than it needs to be.
I think the video game industry as a whole has made it more complicated than it needs to be. Because, like, I mean, if I want to go just what's been released in this decade, I mean, original Borderlands just got re-released this year. Borderlands 2, Borderlands pre-sequel, Borderlands 3. Games that I have put hundreds and hundreds of hours in individually and combined. Even Borderlands 1 this year, the Game of the Year edition, I probably put 100 hours into that game again. Yeah. And like, I'm not going to put that on my list, but that just goes to show how fucking good that game is.
Because we also have to realize that the time you're putting in doesn't necessarily mean... That doesn't equate necessarily.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And again, I'll still answer the same way. It's like, but if at the end of the day, like, that experience still bumps out an original experience that came over the last decade.
Borderlands 1 is not. That's just another example for me of a game that re-released this year that still holds up.
Yeah.
But the experience of 2, which did come out in this decade, and 3, which did come out in this decade, far surpass 1. For me.
Borderlands 2 came out, when, 2010?
Borderlands 2?
Yeah.
2012, bro.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
13.
Okay.
It was 3 years, because 1 came out in 2009.
So I'm not going to say that something
is invalid.
Is invalid. I won't say that, but I think it's like up to you have to kind of look at yourself and be like, well,
am I being really honest or am I being an asshole?
Like, yeah, you know what I mean?
Like, is Avengers in my top 5 or is it not?
Yeah, exactly.
I got you.
So yeah, and then Wolf, to answer your question, if you and Mike want to do fucking matches of the decade, go for it. I don't like to think about this stuff. He was wondering if we could do matches of the decade. Like it's too much. And you know what? Wolf, I'll say this. I'll say this. In the fucking 80s, in the early 90s, I'd be all aboard on this. Because there were less fucking shows. And it would be so easy for me to pick it out. Like I said, I could rattle off the card to WrestleMania 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
1 through 18,
No
I
problem.
think I can tell you.
But now it's so convoluted. The shows just all bleed together. Like, no way. Like, that just... it's fun for some people.
I'll put a pin in that. I'll write that down, dude. There was some good wrestling in this decade, for sure.
There definitely was, but it's just like...
And
for some people, it's fun. For me, it's just not.
There might be 1 or 2 matches from the last 5 years, but that early part of the decade, man, there's some great shit wrestling-wise.
Yeah.
And spoilers, there wouldn't be one fucking AEW match on this list.
Because...
there had potential to be, but there's not.
Cheesy and Wolf are debating a little bit.
About finishing... Like, you have to at least finish the game in order to be on
No.
Okay, so that's another thing I wanted to talk about.
I feel like that's kind of a given, though, because
dude, you know how many times our list have included games that we haven't finished? Yours included? Plenty of times.
So here's the thing.
Like, I don't want to put Luigi's Mansion on my list until I finish it.
But why, though?
How far are you in? What floor are you on?
I'm still where I'm at.
Which was 8, 9, 10. Mm-hmm. Are you more than halfway through the game? No?
I mean, you mean to tell me that game might not even make your top 5 of the year?
Guess what?
It's gonna be on my list.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Guess what? That game doesn't change. It's still Luigi's Mansion all the way through.
And like at the end of the day, again, it comes down to your experience with the game. So like it's what you've played
and
what you've played.
I'll say that there's been times, movies wise and video games wise, where I've loved something all the way up until that end landing, and they don't stick it, and I'm like, fuck this game, it's off my list, or fuck this movie, it's off my list. But for the most part, like I again, Death Stranding is not going to make my list unless I play a whole lot more of it, because I feel like I was barely scratching the surface at 6 hours, and I do know from what people have said about it that it's just more of that. And that's not a bad thing. That's just like, okay, I've probably played enough to make my decision, but I think that would be unfair.
Yeah.
So unless I can get way more time into that, at least another 10 hours or so, I don't think I would feel right putting it on my list. But I don't necessarily think you have to finish a game for it to be something you enjoyed more than other things on a list. Now, if we were reviewing
I was just going to say that. If we were getting paid to do this shit, if this was our job, then I'd have a different stance.
But if we were going to review a game and have the balls to say,
Agreed.
This is a number, or this is a metric of how we're going to rate a video game, and you don't finish it, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah. I agree with that.
But I think you'd be perfectly... Dude, the first floor, the tutorial level of Luigi's Mansion, if that's all you played, I would say you've played enough of Luigi's Mansion to make an educated opinion about it.
But even that aside, though, again, it just comes down to your experience with it. If, like, for you, that makes it... You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's different. Again, like I said, if we were getting paid, if we were reviewing a game, if this was like if we were one of the top video game things out there, I'd be like, all right, like, I don't know, But at the same time, I'd even argue then we could have the casual conversation about it. Well, this is and then we could have the serious conversation about it.
I think the way people are getting around that now in video games journalism is they're calling it the fucking review in progress, and nobody fucking finishes video games in that industry anymore, and they all make broad assumptions based on their first blush of a video game. Yeah. That's unfair.
And I get how someone could sit here and rip me apart and be like, well, would you do that with a movie? You wouldn't rate a movie and not finish, but movies are 2 hours long. Yeah. Like, there's no reason for you not to finish a movie. Like that's just stupid. Yeah. There's plenty of reasons why you might not finish a game.
Yeah. Like I said, it was 6 to 10 hours of Astral Chain that I played and was loving every minute of it, but then something else came out. And then something else came out. And then something else came out.
And can I be honest with you? If we played by those rules, I wouldn't get to make a list this year. I don't know that I've beaten any game this year. I think I might have. That's not totally true, but I mean, My list would be like 2 things.
But to clarify though, Cheesy and Wolf, like, again, I'm not gonna put Death Stranding at number 1 and then have 9 other games that I finished this year below it just because I really love the 6 hours I played of Death Stranding. I'm always going to rate games I finished, for the most part, higher than games I haven't, because I've had the full experience of that game. But there's going to be outliers, man. There's totally going to be outliers. If I don't finish Control, I will look up to see if it sticks the landing. But I'm not going to do it only playing 6 hours of it. Like, if I get to a point where it's like, I got to send this fucking back. I got to cancel the game flag because the month's coming up and I don't want to pay another $17 for it. And I send it back and I'm a few hours away from the ending. I'm going to look up to see, hey, did this stick the landing?
Yeah.
Not necessarily looking for spoilers, but looking like, did this stick the landing?
Yeah. I think it just... I think it's
Makes sense.
in terms of video games, I think it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if I played and completed this 30-hour fucking game or whatever, and I beat it, but then I start another game and I'm 4 or 5 hours in, but I'm having more fun playing that than I did the entire 30 hours of this other game that I beat, you're damn right that's going to make my list and maybe even beat that other.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To kind of chime in, so Wolf and Cheesy are talking about, like, Cheesy's trying to say, well, what if I didn't play a game at all? And to that, here's time out though. Hold on, I've got this to say about that. So
Time out.
So I get what Wolf is saying, but I can also see what Cheesy is saying, and I've got an example of this, and I still want to see Rick play this on stream. I still want to see Rick play this on stream, but I watched Dan of Dan's Gaming play Little Misfortune from start to finish. And that is especially a game that's very kind of narrative based, where I could watch somebody just play that. And I watched that whole fucking game, and I think that game's fucking great. You know what I mean?
But
it's probably not going to make my list, but
part of the game is you feeling it, and you can have a great narrative, but if it doesn't click with you feeling it, then it's not a good game.
But I mean that game it's almost kind of like an interactive story.
That's an interesting.
It's kind of like an interactive story. Yeah. I would understand that argument a little bit more if, like, I'm not actually doing the boss battle or something. But, like, I watched that game from start to finish.
The year I watched Brad Shoemaker play all the way through Bloodborne without having played it myself except for a few hours, that would have been like me saying, "Oh, Bloodborne's my game of the year," because it was, because I watched Hitman, the new Hitman game. I have never touched Hitman at all. But I watched Brad Shoemaker and Dan Reichert play through every fucking case in that game and was like, this is fucking amazing. But I know me, and I know how I play video games, and I would not have the patience to play Hitman. I would start it, and I'd feel it for the first level, and then I'd be like, this is just too much. I can't do it. And to me, that hurts the experience of playing the video game. So I totally see what you're saying, though, about a narrative-based thing.
So that's why, like, Bloodborne, if I watch someone play Bloodborne from start to finish, I wouldn't say that could be it. Like, even if I enjoyed the fuck out of it and watched them do it, because I'm not experiencing the battles, I'm not experiencing the deaths. But Little Misfortune is almost kind of like, again, it's like an interactive story that I'm watching play out. So, you know, and like
kind of like Gone Home.
And like and like, or maybe I'm not the one that's actually making the choices that could change the story, but like I still feel like that's a little bit different. And if anything, even after watching him play that, knowing how it ended for him, I still would kind of want to play it. So I think there's exceptions
to the Gone Home point. As much as the narrative of that game and the story of that game are that game, I think equally is walking around that house and picking up video cassettes and putting tapes in the cassette player and listening to the music, like that. I would see like a graphic adventure game, watching someone play that be more akin to experiencing that than something like Gone Home.
Because graphic adventure, there's a puzzle aspect that you have to figure out.
But if you're just watching it unfold, it's like watching the narrative. But I played a game that was a narrative experience, that's an interactive narrative experience this year, called Sayonara Wild Hearts, and I think everybody should play that fucking game. Play it, because watching someone play it is not the same as playing it and interacting with that story.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think there's exceptions. Wolf, I know you're jumping on Mike's dick right now, being like, Mike, exactly everything. And I don't agree with you. I don't disagree with you guys. I just think there's exceptions. And that's why I take exception to the graphic adventure thing, because I still feel like that's kind of different. Because I'm not going to have, like, I have fun watching you play Grim Fandango because I already played it and experienced it, and I want to see how you handle the puzzles. But I don't want to watch somebody else.
I did without help. Thank you very much.
I didn't. I give you hints. I give you lots of hints.
I was on the right path with everything.
But I still gave you hints. But anyways, like, that I don't agree with, because there's something to that. There's something to being in that world and trying to figure out, like, how do I get into this thing? You know what I mean? Maybe I would enjoy watching somebody else do that, but I don't know if it would be fair for me to say, oh, that's going to go on my list. I feel like Little Misfortune could be the exception to that rule. That said, even though I'm arguing this right now, I'm not saying that game will be on my list. Right. I'm not saying I would personally do that, but if somebody did want to do that, I could see an argument to it. I don't think watching somebody play Sekiro from start to finish counts, or Bloodborne or whatever. I don't think that counts.
So I feel the same way about another medium that I feel about games. Like, I can appreciate the fact, like, and this isn't just Rick, it's a lot of people I know, the way they interact with books is through audio form now. But it's not the fucking same. It's not the same. It's definitely more convenient. But I don't think listening to someone tell you the story is the same as you feeling the story when you read it. Do you not agree with me? Or do you agree with me, but it's the way you have to consume it because of your time constraints?
I disagree.
You disagree with me? Okay.
I disagree with you.
Okay. I mean, that's fair to disagree with me, because again, it's my opinion. I'm not trying to state it as fact, but I feel like it's not as rewarding to not read it yourself and feel it yourself. And I'm not saying that someone reading it to me, I can't feel it, but you're not going to feel it the same. And I think it's the same with video games. A game like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, which is not very mechanically inclined, you're kind of walking around and clicking on things, and it's not very puzzly, and it's not very hard to make your way through. It's definitely just get from point A to point B. But actually being the one to click that button to pick that thing up counts for something. And to me, it's less immersive watching someone play it than it is doing it yourself. And I don't care what type or genre of game it is. It could be anything from a just clicking next on the screen like a visual novel, but it's not the same watching that play out as it is clicking that button yourself. I'm not trying to diminish that experience, but I don't think they're the same experiences.
I mean, I don't know. Like it's rough territory.
Yeah.
Because like I see what you're saying, but I don't like to talk about the book thing for a little bit, for a second. Like, what I will say about an audiobook versus like just reading a book, and I'm not necessarily siding with you or siding with Rick. I'm just stating my own thing here. I will say that I do think there is something about reading a book and having your own voice in your head of what you think that character sounds like,
right,
or looks like. Well, looks wouldn't change. So I see something in that. That doesn't mean I think listening to a book isn't good. I'm just saying I could see how the experience is kind of different when you don't have a set voice in your head and someone's reading it to you. Like it's just a fine line. What I will say I would not personally put Little Misfortune on my list because I didn't play it.
You wouldn't begrudge somebody for
But
doing
if somebody
it.
wanted to make that argument to me, I could accept it. I will say that if anything, watching Dan play that game made me want to play it. Mm-hmm. And if anything, I would maybe say I'm going to give this an honorable mention. I didn't play it myself, but the game is kind of like a story that you're like, it would kind of, with something like Little Misfortune, it would kind of be like me saying like, oh, well, I can't say Sex Education was my favorite show of 2018 because I wasn't actually the one reciting the lines and acting. You know what I mean?
It's a different medium.
No, but it's not. Right? But it's not different though, because Little Misfortune is kind of like that. It's kind of like watching a show. Like it's like, yeah, there's some options, and maybe I wouldn't have made the same options or choices as he would have made. But I feel like you can make your argument. I feel like I can make my argument. Like it could go either way. But you know what I mean? Like I feel like you start to go down this fine line. It's like, but you didn't actually press the B button. And it's just like, but I wasn't the one that actually had the fake sex on screen. Like you know what I mean? Like
I see that's a stretch, but I see where you're going.
I don't know if it's a stretch. But again, I wouldn't do it. If Cheesy wanted to do it, I'm not going to begrudge him. That's his list. That's his list, and it's his to do with it as he wishes.
And if you want to ridicule him for it, that's your prerogative. But yeah, I don't know. I just
okay. I think my stance is kind of changing through all this conversation now. As far as not finishing the game,
Rick's gonna be like, no fucking remasters on your list, like from 20 minutes ago.
It's not Wolf. It's not different. Fucking watch someone play Misfortune and you're not like okay. I agree with you. Like I don't disagree with you, but like I feel like you're missing my point. I really do.
So what?
My stance is still the remake. Still stands on that. But as far as like,
what was your stance on remakes? What I said?
That they shouldn't be. If you can help it, they shouldn't be on the list. But kind of what you were saying to me about like, but if you can help it.
But if Rick played 8 games and the remake came out this year and he can't make a top 10, then it could be on his list.
Yeah. So the finishing games thing.
The not finishing games thing that I've kind of turned around because I'm a completist. I want to complete something before I make my final review.
Mm-hmm.
But now, kind of you guys talking about like I can understand like okay, experiencing the game. Yeah, you put 15 hours in a 20-hour game. You know, like you've played most of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So like okay, I can see that now.
And again, barring the game doing something completely stupid with its ending or like mechanically at the end, like
like I put Pokemon Let's Go in my list. I didn't finish the game, but like I knew how the game works. I know where it was going. Exactly. So I put it on my list.
Sword and Shield. If you wouldn't have finished that by the time it rolled around, I would. And you said that was your number one. But if you wouldn't have,
if I didn't finish,
I would have said, dude, that's totally your number one.
I would have at least been like 90% done with the game.
Yeah. The reason why
I can understand that.
The reason why I feel like it's okay, it's because, like I said before, if I beat a game, complete the whole thing, it was 30 hours, then I've only played 10 hours of this other game, and there's so much more left, but I've had more fun playing that. I think it's fair, but I wouldn't rule out if when I play the rest of that game that I haven't finished, maybe my opinion does change. But in the moment, it's no different that whereas if I revisit what my top movies were 10 years ago, I might watch some of those now and be like, what the fuck was I thinking? You know what I mean? Like, this shit's always going to change and evolve.
Okay, I'm going to give you...
Okay, really quick, I also want to talk about you playing Dan's gaming, watching him playing the whole game all the way through to the end.
That game in particular, though.
Yeah, I'm just talking about that game, you watching, or Cheesy, let's say, watching someone else play Death Stranding all the way through, you know. Maybe that's not the same.
See, I want to see you play Misfortune.
but anyways, what I'm trying to say is that, like, okay, you did not pick up the controller, but you experienced everything that he was going through and what you were going through because you were immersed in the storytelling of the game. Mm-hmm. That, and it pushed you towards wanting to play the game. Mm-hmm. So, like, he's he physically hasn't played the game, but he experienced the game. Mm-hmm. I think that actually does count.
Because part of me...
Change. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. Okay. So, because... if he wanted to, he can go pick up the game and make other decisions that he hasn't already seen. Mm-hmm. And I think that is okay.
And I'll say this too, and in some ways, like, because I agree with Rick, but in some ways I feel like what I'm about to say contradicts what Rick says. And I don't mean that.
Because it gives them the option to go back to the game. I don't mean with Detroit or Heavy Rain.
Right.
You can go back.
I do have the option.
But I was going to bring up Beyond Two Souls, but go ahead.
But I'll say this, like, when I watched Dan play that game and the whole thing, when it was over, I was almost kind of mad that I watched him play it because I'm like, fuck, I kind of wish that I did experience that game without having watched somebody else playing it.
Yeah.
So I experienced that game so much that it's to the point of, well, I don't know that I feel like I need to play it. Yeah. But I would like to see Rick play it because I think it would be fun to watch him make his decision. And I just think Rick would like it for some reason. I don't know. I just have a feeling. I just have a feeling.
I'll add it to my Steam.
I love Wolf's just in here. Rick, you're wrong. Bryce, you're fuck you. Blah, blah, blah. So funny.
So I'll give you an example of a game I finished.
Look, it's true. He didn't play the game, but he experienced the game.
Like, Wolf, I totally get what you're saying, but I think
it goes to my second example of PT. when you downloaded it to yours, like I technically watched you play it because I was too fucking chicken to pick up the controller.
Everybody in the room was watching.
Everyone
the fucking,
in the room was
like
watching.
Brian, Annie, like we're all, and then even Annie was the same.
Yeah, Annie was watching it too.
Annie with well,
But you
that
had the controller
right
the entire time. Well,
And
most of the time. I
even
tried to
with-
pick it up, but I got scared.
with little misfortune, all of a sudden, like Annie started looking up at the screen and she got immersed into the game, like big time. You know, like I don't know, like it just that game is like I'm not gonna say there's no gameplay to it, but like it's very much like a story.
Yeah.
And it's just like
So
I think
here's
it just
an
works
example.
well with a narrative-based game.
Here's an example of a game that I finished this year and nearly platinumed and really enjoyed every fucking moment I had with the game. That is not going to be on my top 10. And it's below a bunch of games that I haven't finished. And that's Far Cry New Dawn. I really, 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 really liked Far Cry New Dawn a lot.
Yeah, I remember you streamed it.
But
Did you stream it?
a little bit, yeah.
Huh.
But I had a better time, or I enjoyed my time more with Death Stranding, with Control so far, with Astral Chain, with Luigi's Mansion. Like those are games that I have not finished yet that are way higher on my list than Far Cry New Dawn, even though I loved Far Cry New Dawn.
Have a thought.
And I've got something to say to the chat too when you're done.
So, the game and isn't the people who created the game want you to experience the game.
Yeah, they want
Whether
you to,
it's playing, I mean, they want you to play it, obviously.
right.
But like with Twitch or whatever, watching someone play the entire game. I think if you've watched the entire game, you've experienced the entire game like the creator intended.
Yeah.
Yes, you do have other options, you know, but you've experienced it with someone else. It's like if I right now play I just came to mind Destiny, and I'm the one with the controller playing the story, and you guys are here just watching me play.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the same thing. You guys are experiencing the same thing. You didn't play it, but you're experiencing the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's like watching a movie.
Look, I don't even understand fucking Twitch.
Does that
Like,
make any sense?
like you know it does. Like, but if you put a gun to my head, I don't even think I'd be able to answer you like why I get a kick out of watching somebody else play a video game. I used to like watching my brother play a video game. It makes no fucking sense to
like
me.
having
Like
10,000 other people in a room.
Like why don't I just play it?
Or
But-
4 in our case.
But Wolf, to respond, let me scroll back on the chat. Wolf says, I can't do a list. He meant to say if everyone else is going to have a list of games they never played. And it's like, again, I still feel like you're missing, you're missing the
He's
point.
Greg Millering us right now.
Yeah, it's
with
like
Luigi's Mansion.
Right, you're missing the point.
We're
Like,
not
look,
saying that any of these games are going to be on our list.
Yeah,
But I'm not going to begrudge somebody if they.
right.
I think, but see, I would.
I was directly responding to what you and Cheesy were going back and forth on, and I was giving one example of where I feel like I can make an exception on that, and if that's what he wants to do with his list, that's fine. Like I said, with that said, I'll tell you right now, Misfortune's not going to be on my list.
Yeah.
I'll talk about how that seems like a really cool experience. Like, so I'm not saying the rule that I would do that. I was just responding to your guys' discussion.
Yeah.
And I gave my input, and I gave an example of a game where I feel like I could be like, okay, that's cool.
I'm not going to say that I wouldn't be able to make a list with a group of people if they're going to add games to their list that they didn't play. You can make your list however you want to.
Exactly.
But I'm going to tell you,
You have no-
that's some bullshit. That's my stance on it. And I see where you're coming from. I totally see where I see the other side of the coin real clearly, and it does make some type of sense, but just not for me. And that comes down to everything that is subjective. It's just not for me. I don't think I'll ever have a list where there's a game on it that I didn't see or didn't play myself, even if it was just a short amount of time. It was one of those things where, like, last year, I kept telling you guys about Florence, and that you should play it, and you should play it, you should play it, and there ended up being 5 more things, because I think that would have been number 6 on my list. There ended up being
twice.
5 more things on my video games list that I had a better experience, more fun with, or whatever the metric may have been that year. But Florence is a spectacular fucking game, and the thing that made me want to play it was hearing people talk about it. Not even watching people play it. Hearing people talk about it. I listened to Vinny Caravella fucking bare his soul during the Game of the Year things for Giant Bomb last year about Florence. And I was like, fuck, it hit him that hard. Like, okay, I need to check this out. And I feel like if I would have watched him play it, I still wouldn't have put it on my list until I played it myself.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
But we're also
Right.
we're
We're all
literally
different.
but we're also literally saying almost the same thing.
Yeah,
If I
yeah.
watched you play Florence, it wouldn't put it on my list. I might if I watched you play it.
Yeah.
If Florence is how I think it is, if I watched you play that, I might be like, man, that seems like a really cool experience. I'm gonna give that an honorable mention as something I wish I would have played, but I watched somebody else play it and I think it's cool. And that's all I'm saying about Misfortune.
Yeah.
If Cheesy likes a game like that so much that he wants to put that on his list, I'm not gonna argue with somebody about their list. I might be like,
I'll silently
I'm not
judge you
going to.
about it, but I'm not gonna.
It is what
I'm
it
not
is.
gonna call you a piece of shit for it. Outwardly, I might be like, no, that's some bullshit.
Yeah,
but
that's
like,
fine.
yeah,
Like, that's fine. You know, like it's just kind of like I feel like it's like I know it's not exactly the same thing, but I feel like it's like criticizing somebody for liking a certain band or a type of music. You know, it's like, look, if that's what they like, that's what they fucking like. You know what I mean? If Cheesy is okay with putting something on his list because he really enjoyed watching somebody else play it, then who am I to say, fuck you, you can't do that?
Right.
You know, especially when this is just for fucking fun.
Yeah, but what I'll say is I think it belongs on a different list.
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
does that make sense? Though?
I do and I don't. You know what I mean? Like it just like that's.
Like, we've never made any bones about it. Like, our lists are never, this is the best games list or the best movies list. This is our favorite shit from this year.
Yeah.
That's what our lists are.
Or
It's
it's the
the
best
shit we
games for
like.
us. Or the bottom line, it's the best games for us.
I mean, I've had games on my list and movies on my list that are objectively not as good as other movies that are out or video games that are out. But I enjoyed it more. That's why I always say,
yeah, especially with movies.
Yeah,
You know, like
and
I'll have some stupid R-rated comedy over fucking The Irishman or something.
I always
because,
say
you know,
that
whatever.
Our shit is not best of the year. Our shit is our favorites of the year. That I always try to make that distinction when we do it.
Yeah.
Because to me, those are two completely different fucking lists.
Or again, it's best just for us. Even if you want to, like, I don't even think best is the bad word in there. It's like it was what was best for you,
I think
and what was best for me.
It resonated with us this year.
That's why I say favorite, because best is a qualitative statement. Best is saying that this thing is better than other
Everything
things.
else,
Yeah, I
and
know.
like that means mechanically, story, graphics, sound.
But
like,
yet, see, this
it's
shit-
unfair.
The shit gets so dicey because then I could sit here and throw it back at you and be like, but if you're putting it at your number one, you're saying this game is better than all the other games that come before it.
It was my favorite game of the year.
Technically. So it's just, yeah, like I don't think anyone is really like Wolf seems like he's getting hot about this, and it's like I'm not even saying Wolf is wrong.
No,
I'm not saying he's
I'm not
wrong.
saying anybody's wrong.
I'm closer to his side.
I
than the
understand his
other.
point of view.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
But I also understand she's side of the equation as well.
Yeah.
I like I said, I feel for me, my personal opinion, I think even Cheese's opinion is different from mine, because you know I feel like Cheesy even has a wider exception than even I would. But like, and I think even Rick made this comment. If I watch somebody play Detroit from start to finish, I don't know that I would say the same thing about that I'm saying about Misfortune, because I feel like Misfortune is still it's just Misfortune to me is almost like the closest thing to watching a TV show.
Then it would be on the game list.
Well, I mean, it's a game.
Then
it's a game.
Then it would be on
kind
the.
of like Life is Strange, or is that?
That's
different?
more mechanically a game.
That's more. A game.
I'm not saying Misfortune is absolutely a game, but it isn't. I feel like it isn't a game that you necessarily have to play. You know what I mean? Like, you might yell at somebody for being like, "Oh, I would have done this instead." But I mean, I could say that about a TV show too. I would have been like, "Well, I wouldn't have fucking fucked that chick. I would have fucked that chick." But that's my personal taste because I think she's hotter than this. You know what I mean? Like,
So here's this is what I can kind of equate it to. Watching someone play a game and then putting it on your favorites of the year list is to me the equivalent of reading a movie review and saying, "Oh, that's my favorite movie of the year."
Yeah, and
I haven't watched it.
Right, and I'm not saying I'm gonna do that. Like I said, but if Cheesy wants to do that, he can do it.
All I'm saying is,
And there are choices in Misfortune.
If
so
Cheesy's doing that, his list is hot bullshit garbage. If that's what he's gonna make up of his list, and that's me picking a side, apparently.
Yeah. Wolf, I totally get what he's saying.
No, we totally.
He says you can be in a game if you can't be 100%. I mean, yeah, technically okay.
I already said that.
You can't be, but you know what? Like, I could fucking come watching porn or actually having sex. Like, I understand. Like,
it's not the same experience.
It's not the same.
The job done.
But it's, you know what I mean? Like, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Like, I totally get what you're saying. But like, I don't think it's fair. I don't know. I don't think it has to be all one way or the other.
Listen, Cheesy's not a garbage person for making a list like that, but his list would be garbage.
I'm not even
I'm just feeling the fire. Hey man, make your list however you want to make it.
Yeah.
Wolf, I'm more on your side, or leaning that way. I'm not even saying on your side. I'm more leaning towards your opinion of this than the other side. But at the same time, I'm not gonna begrudge anybody, and that needs to wrap because this is a long ass fucking show.
Bottom line, this wasn't even something we were even discussing until you guys started talking about it. So you heard our rules, and our rules stand. What you want to do with your list?
I need to adjust my list then because if we're not allowing remakes, I need to adjust my.
But I didn't say we were allowing remakes.
We kind of made
a
distinction.
When did we make? Didn't I clear up that distinction? All I said was. You can allow if the remake came out in 2019 and you fucking loved it more than 9 other original games that came out, then that's fine.
I'm just saying,
that's fine.
If Link's Awakening gets done dirty, it's because of our rules.
If it gets done dirty, it's because of your guys' rules. That's not what I said. I did not say that. If you want to put a remake of a game that came out in 2019, you know what? The game came out in fucking 2019. It's on you. If you like that better than Death Stranding or whatever original game.
Listen.
Put it on your list.
Before we get out of here, the reason why Link's Awakening would make my list in any way, shape, or form is because I didn't play it on the fucking Game Boy 30 years ago.
I think that's okay. If you've never played it before, that's okay.
I don't know.
But it's a fucking 20-year-old game.
What's so frustrating about it is
25-year-old
we
game.
actually are all still saying the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Like we're saying the same fucking thing. Like you guys are saying it shouldn't count at all, and I'm saying I feel like it could count if it does count though. Like if you've never played this game before, I think that's what it is. I think if you've never played it before, because then I'm contradicting myself. Because the burnout thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you've never played it before, that's fine. Or, again, if you don't even have enough games to flesh out a full list, then sure, put it on there. Yeah. And Rick, just to put you at ease, none of this last shit needs to even be a fucking clip. This is just disgusting. This is just full
I like this.
No, I'm trying to lighten his load. Like, seriously. Like,
but don't take it out. You don't have to clip it.
It's still in the show.
Yes,
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like, this could be the full podcast. Otherwise, he's going to lose his mind. Like, in this part's like, okay, I'd clip.
I was hoping for a short show.
Dude,
we haven't been here for 2 weeks.
You still got it, dude. Clip the trailers and call it a fucking day.
I know what I'm doing.
I'm just saying. We just talked. I'm doing you a favor. We've been talking about this bullshit for 45 fucking minutes. I'm saying don't stress yourself out trying to clip this into something because it doesn't need to.
Yeah, you don't have to clip it, but this is one of those things that I feel like is one of these awesome conversations that we have.
And that's what the full
We're gonna take next week off. That's gonna be part 2.
No, that's what the full show is for. You got your 4 or 5 clips, and then this part's for the full show. Yeah. We don't have to give a little piece of every part of the episode for clips. You just don't have to do that. So
those are our rules.
Yeah. You guys could fight about this. All I did was give a little opinion about your argument. You heard the Wolf. Make your list. Like our rules stand. I didn't even fathom the thought of what about games you've never played until you guys started talking about it.
That's a bullshit statement. If Cheesy's the one that started that. Or if Wolf started it knowing Cheese is going to put some bullshit on his list.
What's a bullshit statement? What I said?
No, that, like, asking that. Like, you can't ask, like, okay, so what are you going to be on how are you guys going to do your favorites of the year lists? Well, okay, you got that clarified. What if you didn't watch a movie or what if you didn't play a game? That was a horseshit statement to get this conversation out of us. That's what that was.
Why is Wolf is legitimately leaving and that's fine. I mean, I don't know why. I don't understand, but cool.
We get it, Wolf.
Yeah.
We get it.
Be mad if you want to. Like you guys were arguing about it. Like it was not even on my radar.
Hey man, I didn't watch Omega Okada 3. I heard it was amazing. That's my favorite match of the decade.
Yeah, like I gave one example to kind of play devil's advocate for cheesy. That's all I did.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, like, I don't know that I wholeheartedly agree with every single thing that Cheesy's saying. I'm just giving an example to be like, well, I can kind of see that. And it's his list to do with it as he wishes, and that's fine. And at the end of the day, like...
these rules aren't set in stone. You can make your list how you want to make your list. Yeah.
And the only point I'm trying to make is we didn't start this conversation. That was never even a thought I would even think of.
I'm glad it happened, though. I'm so glad it happened.
I would never even think of that. Like I said, at best, I would say Misfortune is an honorable mention for me because I really enjoyed that fucking story. And I regret... Here, Wolf, you should like this. I regret that I wasn't the one that played it and experienced it for myself. You know what I mean? Like... But I did still experience it because I did watch someone else play it. Whether you want to call that 75% or 80% or 99.2%, I did experience it to an extent. And I never once claimed that I got 100% experience of it, but I experienced it.
So with that being said...
we destroyed... We didn't talk about half of the shit in video games, but this was way better.
Yeah.
And all that shit was old anyway. Fuck it.
That's true.
Golf Story sequel. Yeah. That's all I have to say about that. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry, Rick.
So that's going to do it for us this week. You know where to find us. Some shit we like. Someshitwelike.com.
This is what happens when I'm gone?
I guess so.
All right. I got fired.
Go for it.
No.
Someshitwelike.com, at somethingwelike on Twitter.
Some tweet we like on Twitter.
Did I say that?
No.
Might have.
You said some shit we like.
It came out kind of funny.
Some shit we like on Twitter.
Some shit we tweet.
We're on YouTube, SSWL, youtube.com/user/SSWL Network. We put up video clips Tuesdays through Fridays with the full show on Friday. Audio clip goes up on iTunes and all of that other jazz on Tuesday. This was a long show. Until next time.
That was some shit we like.